In 1989, Marc Dutroux was convicted in Belgium of raping and violently abusing 5 young girls and sentenced to 13 years and 5 months. A psychiatric evaluation labeled him psychopathic and very dangerous. His mother wrote prison authorities warning that he had no remorse and should not be released. He served 3 years and 4 months and was freed for good behavior. He collected unemployment benefits, bought houses, and used state support to build what he intended, a concealed dungeon. The system had been warned. It let him go. What followed was the direct consequence. Beneath a house in Marcinelle, near Charleroi, Dutroux constructed a hiding place roughly 10 feet by 6.5. Concealed behind a homemade door and reachable only through a cramped crawl space. It could be locked only from outside. No natural light, no internal escape. He built it between 1992 and 1995. After his early release, the dungeon was not an accident. It was a deliberate construction project, requiring tools, time, and planning. He prepared a space designed to hold people in absolute dependence on whoever controlled the lock. Between June 1995 and August 1996, Dutroux abducted 6 children. On June 24, 1995, 8-year-olds Julie Lejeune and Melissa Rousseau vanished from Groot-Hol-on-You. In August 1995, 17-year-old Anna Marchal and 19-year-old Yves Lambrex disappeared from a campsite in Ostend. The young man with them was murdered. Sabine Dardenne, 12, was taken in May 1996 while cycling to school. Laetitia Delhias, 14, was taken in August 1996 near a public pool. All were held in properties Dutroux controlled. Julie and Melissa died of starvation while he was in custody, and his wife Michelle Martin, who knew of their presence, denied them aid. Belgian police searched Dutroux's home at least twice while Julie and Melissa were still alive beneath the floor, once in February 1996 and again in May 1996. Investigators walked through the rooms. One officer later reported hearing children's voices. The hidden door remained undiscovered. Dutroux had been under surveillance as a suspected trafficker. His name was on suspect lists. A paid informant had described a concealed space beneath a house. Search teams failed to follow that lead to its conclusion. Subsequent inquiries found officers who accepted payments from Dutroux. 2 children were alive under a house that police had entered and left. The failure was not merely individual negligence. It was structural. Belgium's investigation was fragmented across national police, local gendarmerie, and multiple jurisdictions that did not share information systematically. Tips arriving in one unit often never reached another. Leads developed in one region did not reliably inform searches in another. Dutroux moved between properties situated in different jurisdictions. The pieces of the case existed, but the architecture of investigation could not assemble them into a coherent whole. Years later, a parliamentary inquiry would document that fragmentation and granular damning detail, and Marshall and Yves Lambrex were taken in August 1995 and remained captive while Dutroux was jailed for an unrelated arrest. He served under 4 months of a 3-year sentence and was released. Upon release, he killed them. He buried an endertive in a garden on his property. Julie and Melissa, who had starved in the dungeon while their captor was incarcerated and his wife was aware, were also buried on the grounds of his houses. 4 children's remains were concealed in the soil of a Belgian garden. The facts read like a ledger of preventable deaths. In August 1996, a partial license plate recorded near the abduction site of Laetitia Delhias led to Dutroux, arrested on August 13th. He led investigators 2 days later to the concealed room. Inside were Sabine Dardenne and Laetitia Delhias, alive. Sabine had been held for 80 days, Laetitia for 11. The bodies of Julie and Melissa were recovered from the garden, and Yves were found at another property. The arrival of a traceable plate number showed that rescue had been possible, that a window for saving lives had existed, and that previous searches and surveillance had failed to close it. Public outrage was immediate and massive. In October 1996, roughly 300,000 Belgians marched through Brussels in the White March, carrying white balloons and flowers to demand accountability. They protested the early release, the ineffective searches, the corruption, and the systemic breakdowns that enabled Dutroux to operate. Dutroux was convicted in 2004 and sentenced to life. Michelle Martin received 30 years and was controversially released in 2012. No senior police official faced criminal prosecution. The parliamentary inquiry produced reforms, but those changes were always after the fact. The case reshaped Belgian institutions and public trust. The parliamentary inquiry cataloged fragmented policing, communication failures, and evidence of corruption. Belgium consolidated police forces into a unified federal structure and enacted stronger child protection laws and alert systems resembling the Amber Alert. Those reforms were comprehensive and driven by public outrage, but they arrived only after 4 children had already died. Institutional change followed tragedy. Reform did not prevent it. Marc Dutroux told the system who he was. The psychiatric report, his mother's warning, and his history were all on file. The state released him. He purchased properties, built a concealed dungeon, and abducted children. Police searched his home while 2 were inside. They heard voices and left. 4 children died. 2 survived because a partial license plate eventually reached the right person. 300,000 people demanded answers. Actions followed, but the dead remained dead. Subscribe to Case Files TV because he told them who he was, and they let him go.